What's up everyone, John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a full review for you of the much hyped and much anticipated Apple iPad. The subject of this review is a 32GB Wi-Fi only model. Very few devices have caused a fervor of press and consumer excitement like the iPad. Once you get past all the excitement and the enthusiasm, you're left with an actual product. And we're going to cover how this actual product fits into your daily life and how it fits into mine. So I've covered the iPad really quite a bit. I've got covered everything from the browser to the ebook reader to typing. So I'm going to put all those videos together into one and sort of see how the package actually works. So most important for me with the iPad is mobile browsing. That's why the iPhone is my daily driver of choice. I do a lot of work on the mobile web. It lets me create content, send emails, lets me respond to videos and update my website. That's why the mobile web was really one of the things that I was looking forward to most with the iPad. I was hoping to get a desktop-esque experience on a mobile device. And as far as web browsing, the iPad does not disappoint. I've used many netbooks. I've tried the HP Mini 311, the Lenovo S10, 1, 2, and 3, including the tablet, and I've tried the Dell Mini 10, Mini 9. So I've got sort of a wide spectrum to pull from, and this is hands down the best browsing experience that I've had on a mobile device. Scrolling is smooth, pitching and zooming works great. The accelerometer is quick and responds well. The inline video that is of course HTML5 capable plays right in the browser. Certainly no flash, something we'll talk about in a little bit. But from a browser standpoint, it is fantastic. And the extra screen real estate gives you features that you're not going to get on the other iDevices, being the iPhone or the iPod Touch. You've got a full bookmark bar across the top. You've got almost a three-dimensional tabs page that opens up, and there's a lot more that you can do. Now, one of the big knocks on the device is that it's nothing more than a big iPod Touch. Why do I need it? Why do I need it? I've heard that from many people. And the fact that it may look like a big iPod Touch or a big iPhone, because it certainly does, you put them side by side, may not be a bad thing. The extra screen real estate lends itself to a lot of new additional features. For example, Mail is one of the places where you see a lot of these new features. You get a preview and text pane that you don't have on the other iDevice that you scroll through. When you rotate it, you get even more options. And that sort of theme falls through all of the native applications on the device. The extra screen real estate lets you do just so much more. So as I mentioned, I do a lot of work on the mobile web and I do a lot of work on the device. So text entry is a big thing to me. I've been a fan of the virtual keyboards in the past on the Nexus 1, on the iPhone, and I was a bit skeptical of how I was going to feel about a larger virtual keyboard that I couldn't necessarily thumb type on, or at least I thought that I couldn't. So I did a video covering the keyboard, but I want to sort of recap that because I think text entry is a really important feature of the device and one of the things that people may be worried about. So you get two keyboard options here. You've got a portrait keyboard, which you can touch type quite well, and much to my surprise, I've got a little bit larger hands. I actually hold it like I could an iPhone and thumb type. Now if you turn it into landscape, you get almost a full-size keyboard. Of course, it's virtual here. If you take, for example, Apple's wireless Bluetooth keyboard, you can see size for size. There's not that much of a difference. And if you want to sort of a further breakdown of the keyboards, check out a previous video I did on typing. Now, if this isn't going to work for you, you have other options. Apple's going to be releasing a dock with a keyboard very similar to what I just showed you. And this iPad will actually pair itself with any Bluetooth keyboard. So if you go to the Apple Store and you pick up their Bluetooth keyboard, it'll work, or any other Bluetooth keyboard that you like, you can pair it and start typing. External mouse won't work, you're still stuck to finger input, but for a device like this, I think that works quite nicely. You know, there are built-in productivity apps, or ones that you can download, Notes and Mail, and particularly Pages, which is Apple's version of Microsoft Word. It's a very full-featured, surprisingly full-featured, I should say, word processing program. So let's talk about some of the other features of the device, and this is where I think the iPad starts to distinguish itself. You may have heard people ask you, or maybe you haven't, why do I need an iPad? What is it going to do for me? How is it going to add value? And that question can be a bit hard to answer, but for somebody who does a lot of reading, I think that's where the iPad starts to separate itself from the pack. I have a Kindle 2 that I've done all of my reading on for the past, well, probably almost a year. And the iPad has so many choices for reading. It really is impressive. It's got its own iBooks application, which is quite fun and pretty to look at. You can see it right here. It's a virtual bookshelf. Winnie the Pooh comes preloaded. and you've got a full bookstore that you can choose from. For more on that, check out the iPad versus Kindle 2 video. A lot of people are worried about how reading on the LED display is going to be. Well, I can tell you that it actually works quite well. It doesn't hurt my eyes quite yet. I stare at a display all the time, so maybe I'm used to it. In 30 years, when I'm probably completely blind, it may be a different story. But for right now, it doesn't bother me at all. And being able to read books in sort of a large, vibrant format with colors and pictures really lends to a nice experience. So here, for example, we've got a Winnie the Pooh book, and I can actually take the page and turn it, and you get sort of the full page-turning experience. And you actually got the pictures that show up right in there, which is nice. And if you think about it, for a kid's book, for example, if I wanted to read a story to my child, if I had one, instead of just reading text, I could actually show them pictures and have videos that are right inside of the book move around for a very immersive experience, which makes to be a fun reading experience. And then, as if Amazon wasn't getting killed enough with the iPad, they actually put the bullet in the gun that's going to shoot them. There is a Kindle application for the iPad, which really made the Kindle, at least for me, obsolete. It gives you access to all of your Kindle content, access to the WhisperSync network, and the ability to download and read books right from inside that application. So if books are a big thing for you, there's really no more qualified device than the iPad. So also I do a lot of periodical reading. I love the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, and this really offers the best of everything as far as periodicals are concerned. It gives a very immersive sort of experience for newspapers and even magazines. So some of the magazines are running on a subscription base. There are many free periodical services out there. So here's, for example, the New York Times. You can scroll through, pick an article that you'd like, tap on it, and you get sort of the pictures that are in there, scroll through to the next page. It really is a very, very nice and pleasant experience. And you're able to get all the information that you could just at once. It used to be I'd have to carry my Kindle, I'd have to go outside to get my newspaper and read a magazine later, and then I have to come back to my computer to browse the web. I can now do all of that from one very, very thin device, which happens to have a gorgeous screen, which really is a nice transition to my next topic of video. Video on this is unbelievable, and it's really only augmented by applications like Netflix and the ABC player, both of which are free downloads. You can access a good chunk of ABC's content, view it in HD right on your device, and if you have a Netflix account, you have access to all of their on-demand content right on your iPad, which turns it now from not only a mobile internet device, not only an ebook reader, but now it's really a personal media player. And there's been talks of a Hulu app coming, perhaps on a subscription basis, but this thing, I haven't turned on my TV since I've had it. I haven't had a need to. I'm able to watch all of my content that I like right on the device. So it's not all rosy and positive. Applications, which are one of the strongest points of Apple's iDevices, are also one of the biggest selling points of the iPad, but you're going to pay a significant price premium for them. Devices or applications rather, that run on an iPad or an iPhone or an iPod Touch, there's extreme price parity. We're talking double, triple, or quadruple the price for what they're calling HD applications for the iPad. So definitely be aware of that. It's going to be a tough strain on your wallet. Now, if you have an iPhone or iPod Touch and you think, well, I can just upscale all the applications that I have, since the iPad actually doubles the pixels on your iPhone or iPod Touch applications, you're going to be disappointed, because let me tell you, that looks really, really crappy. Text is extremely hard to read on it. The pixels look blurry. It makes the applications very hard to use. Now, you can shrink it down to the original size of your iPhone or iPod Touch, but then you really lose the reason for having one of these. So until Apple fixes that, or developers start putting out more applications or cross applications that work on both devices, you're going to be a bit limited. Developers haven't had access to the iPad until it was released on Saturday. So I think we're going to start seeing an influx of new applications that sort of work on all our devices, and hopefully we'll also see a decrease in price. The price standpoint is another thing to be concerned about. It starts at $499, and with 3G it works all the way up to around the $800 price point. It's definitely something to keep in mind. This does not ship with any sort of earphones, which is something I was a bit surprised about. The back of the device is sort of Apple's industrial design. It's got that brushed aluminum with the Apple logo, which is not a shiny mirror format. Something to keep in mind, the Wi-Fi radio is actually located right behind that. I'm not flicking you off, I'm just pointing. Right behind that Apple logo right there. So there have been some reports about poor Wi-Fi issues. So if you're using the device and you're holding your hand here, you may have some Wi-Fi issues. I haven't experienced that, but others have. Looking at photos on the iPad is another thing that I really enjoyed doing. With the 9.7-inch screen, the built-in Photos application really makes for a really very impressive viewing. I can give you a quick example of what the Photos application looks like on here so you can see. Oh, I have covered it in other videos. We'll go ahead and open up Photos. If I can find it. You can take a look that you get sort of a grid format. Really is a nice layout. You can pinch and zoom your way into any of these albums and do without looking. Grab one. There we go. You can sort of open them up or close them. It's actually sort of neat. Fingers blocking it. You take it, fan them out, fan them closed, and it's mostly eye candy. It doesn't add any sort of additional functionality that you've got with the iPhone or the iPod Touch, but it is just fun. It also, the screen rotates every direction that you want. It's got a locking mechanism to turn off the accelerometer. But it's nice if you want to hand it to a friend and let them look at content. Now there's also sort of a very big elephant in the room now with the iPad, and that is iPhone OS 4.0, the specter of which we don't know what it's going to do, but is going to be announced relatively soon. The iPad's going to get a lot of additional functionality. I've been saying for much time that the iPhone OS has gotten very stale and boring, and it's even more apparent on a larger screen. I mean, look at that wasted space. It's just a row of icons. Even worse, look at the space on the lock screen. I get a picture, the time, the date, and a slide to unlock, and that is about it. On a 9.7-inch screen, I have no other information. I can't see email. I can't see notifications. I can't see anything. And that's one of the shortcomings of the operating system itself. In addition to multitasking, on a processor really this powerful, it's got a built-in A4 chip clocked in at 1 gigahertz. People are going to be saying, well, the Nexus 1 has a 1 gigahertz chip. It's not necessarily the clock speed of the processor, it's how well it's optimized. And it's optimized really, really well for the iPad. It handles everything that gets thrown at it with just tremendous performance. And all that performance doesn't come at a battery drain. Apple claims the iPad is going to get 10 hours of battery life, but I can tell you that is absolutely true. Yesterday using the device probably for 2.5 hours of video viewing, probably 4 hours of web browsing and text reading, I had it down to about 55-60%. And I have not been able to drain the battery completely, and I've actually used it for over 10 hours. So if you're flying on a long flight and you want to watch video, turn the brightness down, you'll easily be able to watch 3 or 4 full feature-length films on the iPad, which is something that you just can't do on other mobile devices. No flash is also sort of a big negative and another big sort of monkey on the back of the iPad. It does not play flash content. Apple has, for some reason, waged a war against flash. They're not going to get sort of the real web as you would on other devices, although a lot of these websites are retooling their pages to support HTML5, which the iPad does support. It's definitely something to keep in mind. Overall, the iPad has met or exceeded my expectations. It's a device that's just fun to use, and I'm having a very hard time putting it down. Again, I recommend you go to your local Apple store or retailer and pick one up and use it for yourself and experience sort of what you can do with the device. Is it something that you need or have to have? No, certainly not. But it very, very adroitly and eloquently fills that gap between mobile phone and laptop. When I'm going out now on the road, this is all I'm going to take with me. When I just need the web and I just need access to email, this is the perfect device in a very thin, light package. I don't have to carry around my laptop and a backup battery anymore. So I recommend the iPad to anyone out there who's interested in those things that I mentioned. On a 1 to 5 star scale, I give it a solid 5. I knew its shortcomings going in. I knew it didn't support multitasking yet, and I know that it doesn't have flash. But everything that I wanted it to do and everything I needed it to do, it does very well. Whether you love Apple or hate Apple, there's no doubt that the iPad is going to drive the tablet market forward. It's going to force companies like HP and Microsoft to innovate. Companies like Juju and other tablets that are going to be coming out are going to innovate and are going to put out better products because of the iPad. Whether you have no interest in ever buying one, you can at least appreciate its mark that it's going to make on this very, very new category. So guys, for more information and for a little bit more detail, check out technobuffalo.com. The link in the sidebar to the article that's linking to this review, and you can sort of check out a bit more information about the iPad. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Are you interested in the iPad? Do you agree with my review or disagree? Are you going to wait for Generation 2? Are you going to wait or not wait if you already bought one? Or what size have you bought? I want to hear from you, so text or video comments, please. Anyway, guys, I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.